So welcome to the webinar, Brand is Truth, Digging Deep in the Age of Bullshit. I'm Nicholas Jones, corporate shaman at Rivet Collective. You can think of me as an integrative consultant and a brand strategist. I'm accountable for ensuring there's alignment, balance, and integrity from conception to implementation for our clients. So you see how that works out. So in other words, I make sure the roots match the branches. I have a very simple job. So first I want to thank Communo for the community and the creative listening here. It's actually, it's palpable, right? It's like there's this listening pulling for everything here. And I want to thank Patrick and Christina especially for driving this and for supporting all of us members to express themselves in this kind of venue, and to all of you for joining today. It took a whole team to put this together right up until like probably 1 in the morning. And they're here today, so I want to thank Maya and David and Allison over here, and Aaron for his contribution to some of our feed and seeds. So I also recognize that, I stand on the shoulders of giants. There have been wise teachers in my life. I'm not alone. I'm standing on their shoulders. And I actually stand on the shoulders of a lineage of indigenous elders that I've been trained by who've kept alive universal principles from our original human operating system that's over thousands of years old. So we've been drawing on these principles today when we share this with you because they still work. We're still human. So if you're an expert freelancer, if you're creative, strategic, or technical, listen for how this work could bring clarity or truth to your clients to support you doing the work more effectively, more powerfully from a clear and solid foundation. And if you're leading, you're directing, or you're an agency engaging clients, listen for how the work could bring more confidence, trust from your client in the branding investment. In other words, to go the distance with you, to stand out, take a risk, and differentiate in a crowded market. So let's get right to it. I'm going to set the stage, introduce us. This is our core team right here. From left to right, we have the Brand Alchemist, the Magic Color Maker. They're all in the room. The Communication Maven, of course, is behind a communication device there. And the Corporate Shaman talking to you today. We're a brand building agency. We incubated lifetimes ago, it feels like, but we actually just got born as a brand ourselves less than a year ago. So what you're experiencing and seeing here is the culmination of a collective that's quite fresh and new. So how is it going to go for the next half hour? I'm going to share specifically about the value we've discovered in serving our clients by digging really deep on the front end of the engagement. I'll share the approach, the methodology, the process, and the results, and then offer ways you could integrate pieces into your work or draw on us for support. So if you want to make notes or reminders, if you have questions, we'll have 15 minutes at the end of this to dig deeper ourselves and really open up the conversation because we're all part of it. So, why the age of bullshit? Our findings and observations indicate that we've entered into the great era of the distruster. And that is coined by Edelman, I think, in their trust barometer. We're experiencing an epidemic level of consumer distrust, skepticism, and cynicism. You can smell it. If you're in this industry, you can smell it. You can actually measure it. We've written a blog. We put some research in there, presented that position, so we hope you check it out later. But we say that trust is a function of truth. So in simple terms, more bullshit, less truth, less trust. The good news is that trust is a function of truth, so less bullshit, more truth, more trust. It's a simple human equation for the math that we're working with. So how did we go out into the market? We basically have a very simple philosophy. It took a long time to get to this simplicity, as most things do, but in confronting the trust crisis in front of us, we went looking for a definition of brand that would inspire and empower us and our clients. And we got to this. We say brand is when your truth is consistently expressed in your culture and experienced by your customers. When the inside matches the outside, when the roots match the branches, there's actually nothing to market or sell because it's so compelling, so authentic, so trustworthy that you have immediate engagement and relatedness. That's the principle. So here's the model. This is how we created it. This is actually what we share with our clients. We call it a new paradigm of brand building. To them, we say it demands a balanced focus and investment on both building brand awareness on the left and business performance on the right. And it's all built around the brand's core axis of purpose. That includes values, culture, vision, mission, and story. So we give them an equation because a lot of them are sitting on the right side there. We say business value is a function of both business performance, which is results, and brand awareness value. Business results plus brand value equal business value. We offer this to our clients to keep them aware of the importance of a balanced investment into both sides for sustainable growth while they appreciate value. And when we take the time to explain this to them, it sets the stage for why we're going to work the way we work. So let's talk a little bit about what I'm accountable for, alignment, balance, and integrity. Think of alignment, really it's a function of the brand's axis. You know that middle line, which we'll get into later. The core purpose, the values, the vision, mission, the culture, and the story. Imagine all that standing straight and strong, much like a spine or a tree trunk. Balance is a function of equal investment in each side of the equation. So the client is investing proportionately in both brand awareness and business performance. And then integrity for us is the state of being whole and complete. So there's like nothing missing, nothing's being left out. No parts are missing in the core. There's nothing missing on each side of the equation. So I know this might be a little abstract right now and simplified, but we'll get into how it's applied very soon. So this is a brief glimpse of our process. We actually tell our clients this is the way, and there's some documents here, like we call it the way in, because that's the beginning of the engagement, and it's how we express the client journey to the client. You might be familiar with all these parts actually, but we use universal and natural metaphors for conception, incubation, and growth. They empower us. They're sourceful metaphors for us, so we're powerful when we're in front of our clients. But we're just going to be looking at the first two steps in this presentation. So, what does it look like when we finished working? You know, they don't necessarily work at that table or that wall or something, but when we've done our first two steps in our client engagement, there's a physical manifestation of something. They have three key assets in hand. They have the burst, we're calling it the burst, the thing on the left there. You see them all along the windowsill. That's their dream captured, and we will get into that in detail. There's the source, which is just over to the left, which is a document. We've got copies on the table. It's bound. And then there's the blueprint, which is a framed media. They actually hang on their wall in their office. We consider that a mandala. It's a framed mandala. So, top-level case studies. What's been coming out of this work over the last few months? It seems our clients unanimously say that this initial work provides them clarity and confidence. In other words, truth and trust. They're always deeply moved. They're touched. They're inspired. They're empowered. But what we find as an agency, it sets up the next stage with so much of a solid foundation to move forward. And we start that creative and strategic work, you would call the creative brief, with some velocity. It just sets it off. So let's dig in deeper and start to look at the process, right? Part one of digging deeper we call dream catching and vision questing. And it literally means that. So our process, what it looks like if you're a fly on the wall in the room, it's a pre-discovery step. It explores what's possible for our client, their businesses, and their brand's future. So it's part biz dev and sales conversion process. It's part demonstration of the value of our work. It's part accelerated client onboarding. And we actually use it for evergreen content capture. We record everything. And judging by the smiles, you can see our clients actually have a lot of fun in that hour. Here's what we tell them. They actually don't know what to expect. So we sit them down and we say, here's the intention. It's simply to explore what's possible with your company and your team. So we tell them that we're going to harness the raw power of a non-renewable resource. We call it objectivity. We've got one shot at it. That 1 hour is the most objective opportunity we have. Our process uncovers hidden opportunities, and it creates a powerful alignment between what they're currently doing and what they would like to see happen for the future. That sets the tone for future brand development. So, what it looks like for methodology. It's a 1 hour engagement over lunch, very intentionally. We actually feed them, we cater it, we take them on a 30-minute guided blue sky journey when they finish their last bite. We take them 10 years into the future. We take them through a unique vision questing and dream catching process that uncovers the direction of their business. We actually tap into the power of their unconscious minds. The experience for them is light, it's easy, it's fun, it's rich, it's fulfilling. And then the dream is graphically recorded by a master doodle maker who's actually in the house right now, live as he's doing, woohoo. in front of the client. So what that does, it stimulates the client's conversation. They're getting this interesting feedback loop, and it opens their mind and starts freeing their imagination even more. It works like magic. We record audio, video, everything. We have permission to do that because it's our theater, and we leverage the fact that this is on our terms. It's actually our investment in the relationship and our future work together. That's what actually unleashes the objectivity and the freedom. So the freedom of that arrangement allows for an open conversation, and we say a richer harvest of invaluable creation. There's no expectations from the client. They just wail. So within 48 hours, we come back and we produce and present a mounted graphic piece we call the burst. They're sitting over there. It captures their dream, which is the journey they gave us, in less than 20 minutes, a mood board of their future, which is their vision, and then we do something else. We offer the missing links. We articulate the gaps between where they are now and where they want to be, the delta. We make it obvious to them. We then tell them that we fill in those missing links in the work that we do. We bridge the gap as brand builders. That's our role. If they want to start on the way with us and begin their investment, we move forward with the discovery, right? So what comes out of this? Here's just a few samples of the last 4 feed and seeds that we've done. I'll tell you, there's a palpable magic that happens when you faithfully reveal, recreate, and mirror an inner dream for a human being. When you express and articulate a desired future today in front of them, some clients are speechless. They don't quite know what to make of it. Others are super excited. They get it like right away. Some start to well up with emotion. We know we've hit it, right? The shift occurs in the present, even though the future hasn't happened yet. And so we've noticed our clients get clarity. They see their own truth. They go, oh my God, I didn't realize that's what I was after. They reconnect with their roots and their core values. It opens a wider context, new possibilities for startups especially. It reveals hidden opportunities. They see themselves in a new light and they begin to own their leadership in that dream. It reignites the passion behind their business, and ultimately can also reveal inauthentic marketing constructs and devices, and they start to true themselves up. They have to confront them. So what's the outcome? That's a full burst. There's 4 of them there. It's the missing links are along the middle, so I encourage you after the presentation to have a look at them and see how we've articulated them. But that's what they get. They covet these. We have a client who's a startup who didn't convert to discovery, didn't move forward with us. He still talks about it. He tells everybody about it. And it's on his desk to this day. And that was like 6 months ago, which tells you something, right? It has value for them. So in terms of case studies, here's a quick snapshot, okay? So we had a financial advisor. After 9 years in the business, he got clarity and confidence. He actually uses those words to set out and build his own advisory practice in a new paradigm of non-transactional fee-for-value service. Once these transparency laws came in for the financial industry, some of the advisors started to think out of the box, and we found our perfect client. We got a life coach who got deeply connected with the value of her work. She was inspired to swing way out and empowered to expand and widen her client base. We have a financial services wholesaler on the right there. She got reignited by her own vision. She's embedded inside a really big organization. She's been holding the vision for years while listening to a million no's from dinosaurs in a very traditional industry. Now she's kicked off her own program, her team, and got promoted to head her own fintech initiative in the organization, and we have a client. We have a fitness studio owner. These were his words. Remarkable introductory process. It so effectively ensures that everyone truly gets each other. If you don't start right, you won't end right. It was profound. Totally makes sense, right? And the startup said, we enjoyed the big picture thinking. It pushed the limits in terms of where I thought we would be. Of course, you want to keep startups in possibility. That's a place to be at that time. So what happens next? Some clients, most of them now, say, yeah, we're ready to go. Let's dive into discovery. So this is Digging Deeper Part 2. We call this sourcing and blueprinting for brand development. So this is a much longer process. We invite our clients for a half day at least. And we dive deep into their business. We usually take them off site, get them out of their office, take them into a different space. And it's a powerfully facilitated session. It's precisely crafted conversation. It's intense. It all happens in the 4 hours, 15-minute break. Everything is dead on time. And it has the intention of sourcing and blueprinting brand, creative, and strategy, all in that 4 hours. We then go away for a period of probably, that process takes somewhere from 4 to 6 weeks. There are iterations, drafts. It's collaborative. We really do work with our clients on it. But we set them out with this. We sit them down and say, okay, here's the intention of this next 4 hours. It's to be standing in your truth, inside and out. So we ask them not to hold back. To be grounded in the roots of where your business grew from, like own it. To be inspired by the possibility of the future your business is growing into. To be clear and confident of the direction that your business branches out from here, because we don't know, it might. And to be trusting in the process along the way. We get their buy-in here. This makes sense to them. So we initiate the client engagement this way. It creates the source and the foundational blueprint for all their work. They take it fully on. Now, the thing is, it's also whole and complete. So we're not actually attached. We'd love to work with them for a year, for a lifetime. But we say to them, you know what you get is complete. It's powerful. It's an asset for you. It pulls for and seals our value for moving into a full year-long engagement, but they get a complete package. So here, you remember the two circles, the brand awareness and the business performance, and I mentioned the axis in the middle. It was just a white line there. This is what it actually looks like. These are the core elements that actually get delivered and reflected back to the client after that 4-hour process. So much like the structure of a tree or human spine, we say the center column are the elements of the axis, the core that supports both brand awareness and business performance. Here they'll find in one place the core of themselves, their why, their who, their what, their how, their values, their vision, mission, the story, and the culture. Our clients are clear right from the outset that these elements need to be strong. They need to be crafted on their truth and always in alignment. That's why there's drafts and iterations. And I tell you, it's magic. When they finally go, yeah, my mission is margin for a meaningful life, they stop there. It never changes because it's resonant, it's accurate, it's the truth. So brand awareness. This you'll be familiar with. You've done this work, many of you. It's the world of, creating brand personality. We use a compass in there. They do an exercise in Discovery. It's brand positioning based on the compass. We fulfill on that. It's brand mantra. We come up with elevator pitches. It's based on the emotional, functional, and social value that they see that their brand, their product, or their service will have in the marketplace. And we start to get the early expression of brand expression. We do an early mood board. We do an initial palette. There's nothing spec to Pantone or anything here. It's just literally intuitive, and it's opening up. And they get a look and feel. And if we've done our job, it resonates. It really does. We haven't had a client yet that said, you know what, that doesn't feel right. Every one of the 4 colors that come up, or 3 or 4 colors. Business performance, way more familiar out there. This is the world of competition, customers, buying journeys, and markets. But we do it in a really fun way. We sit down and we do some role playing. We tell them, like, which competitors do you love? And they really get into it. Which competitors do you hate? And we personify it. Someone actually represents, it was like a last plumbing contractor, and she just hated this one company because they're such unscrupulous plumbers. They're always trying to bribe their employees away. It's crazy. It all comes out, right? But we're reading between the lines. So we get the competitor summary. It reveals for us opportunities and challenges. It's not a conventional analysis. We get customer personas and profiles out of this to keep them on focus and on target. We get their buying journey worked out, the engagement pathways and a flow diagram. And we work out some initial market observations and opportunities. So what do they get and why does it work? The power of the blueprint is really simple because it's an obvious physical expression. It's framed, it's presented. They hang it on display and it's always visible. So like a mandala, it works passively and actively in the client's space. It's informing all the time, reinforcing, guiding as a true mandala. It's like a sacred blueprint for their business, much like sacred geometry defines organic structures in nature. The power of the source is equally in its tactile, tangible presence. It's real paper. It's printed and presented with value and care. We arrive in a box. It's their dream, right? This is their future. Like, it's precious. And it's awesome when they hold it, the way they play with it, and can I fold it? Like, should I open it? I'm like, you can open it. Yeah, it's really cool. So they keep the source out and available for ongoing reference. That's the whole point. If it's stuck in a drawer, it's not going to make any difference. It's designed to guide them. So just a really simple, there's been a lot of creative coming out of these, but here's that same financial advisor, okay? His mission was margin for a meaningful life. You got to get this guy used to be a minister. And he had his aha moment that we tapped into where he saw a family in front of him. The husband had died in a motorcycle accident. The family was unable to take care of things, even find time to grieve, because there was no money, no insurance, no backup plan. In that moment, he changed his profession. That was the story he got, and it was resonant with him. So what was it about for him? He's not about making money for people. He's making margin, an expanded use of the word, for a meaningful life. That's what he's in the service of. So we start doodling. This is Maya's work. She starts to take all of those elements that came out of the core, the axis. She starts to play with it. Is it growth? Is it trees? She starts to explore it. And we start to come out with these forms. And the forms develop into the beginning of a concept for a logo. Well, then we go back and check. Now, does that feel right? It may not. Does it feel like there's margin for a meaningful life being created here? Is it expanding? And is it a world of fulfillment? Are spaces being filled? And is it multiplying and opening? Then we test it with the client. So this becomes a foundational brand reference for the client, their team, their partners. Maybe they don't work with us. Maybe they come back in a year and work with us. It's still valid. Maybe they have external contractors who want to do embroidery, like our plumbing contractor. Hey, can you get us something? I want to do some uniforms. Great. Use this as your guideline. Anybody who touches brand development, marketing, and sales. Internally, for HR, this is the resource to integrate and align for recruitment, onboarding, training, and development. For leadership, it gives direction and an internal culture yardstick for key decision making. Like, does it fit our blueprint or not? And then, so that daily reminder is an alignment and balancing tool. It lives there to consistently remind them of the model. Go back to our life coach, because she was so articulate, like she is just so well expressed. Here's what she said. I've totally enjoyed the process, right? She gets that it's a different connection to who she is and what she's up to, but she hasn't even got any creative yet. Now, here's what she said to us. She said, there's a new level of confidence, and I feel really, really powerful with it, like really empowered by the whole process. This was just a week ago. And I don't think if I'd done this with anybody else, if it had been a shorter process, if it had been and if you hadn't been as open to comments and the feedback, I don't think I would be here. She said, I think it would feel like any of the other, you answered your 20 questions and you got the answers. That's what you get for your 20 questions. So for her, it was totally worth it. The work that I put in, she says, I imagine the kind of work you put in on your side, but the work that I put on this side and the cost of it, all those things were totally worth it. The financial advisor was really interesting because this was the first time in his life after 9 years, someone had offered him a blueprint for exactly what he wanted to do, that we harness that passion, that commitment he has to people. And, this guy is unbelievable. We call him the financial advisor with heart. He's committed to paradigm shifting, like to demonstrate a new way that's not transactional on a fee-for-value service to move forward with clients. And that will start to ripple through the financial industry. And now we're working with his wholesaler. So someone who's in charge of 800 advisors, of which he's part of that umbrella across Canada. So it has opened up. Takeaways, okay? So what do we actually see here? At the end of the day, we see magic. Transformation in the client at a very core level is a deep emotional and ontological shift. It's around their self-perception, and their self-empowerment. So they have a new vulnerability and openness. It's exactly what you want when you work with clients. We have a quote here from a client. He said, it's like you saw right through me. Bless you. Bravery. We notice that clients overcome their fears when they're self-empowered. The possibility of what they're creating out there in the future inspires them. So they tap into it. And here's the thing, it becomes more compelling and outshines the self-doubt, the analytical paralysis, and the strategic wear and tear. Quote, it's created growth, a different connection to who I am and what I'm up to and how I serve. That will feed new strategies to go to market, how they work with their clients, new engagement possibilities. For ourselves as an agency working with clients, right, we get clarity and confidence as they get clarity and confidence. Internally, how we work as brand builders, our creative and production stages are empowered. So they're built on a solid and integral foundation. So we're aligned internally, and we're in our collaboration and our concerted efforts. And when we own our work at that core level, all of us benefit. So if we pull in from Communo and we have members, we have a chance to get aligned very quickly with a reference document about that client. So in terms of the client experience, they actually have more fun. We have more fun, they have more fun. It's fulfilling. We tap into something deeper than before. They get personal responsibility. They trust the process, which is really useful for going down a year-long tunnel with them. They have pride in their roots and accomplishment, so they acknowledge it. Huge value gets created, and it's cemented even if they don't move into a full brand building cycle. We have left someone so empowered, so inspired for them to share about our work that they're just a fan for as long as, they have that work. So a quote was, so guy said, I can totally see how that would make a difference if you're building a website. If you want it to have any sustainability or meaning, that this is a really important piece, otherwise it just falls flat. And that's what he said. So there's the blueprint again, right? The core, the benefits for the client, what we've noticed when we start looking at their values, they get like a heart level resonance. We coach them to go right from the heart about their values, to really feel them. So we use different techniques, which we'll share, like where he or she just like really feels it. That's where your values are. Don't let them think about them. If they think about them, they'll sit on a wall and they'll be empty. They'll be bankrupt. When it comes to vision, we help them see clarity of direction as inner vision. We actually have them close their eyes. Like they begin to see something for the first time. And for the core, which we pulled out there, this is it, man. This is like the tree, if we the analogy, the metaphor of the tree trunk, and you cut it and all the rings are. A tree, once a maple seed is planted, it doesn't change its mind and become an oak or fir tree halfway through. It's like, oh my God, my branches are too big. I want to be pointy like a pine tree, It doesn't happen. So in nature, we see these amazing things where, the taproot goes down, the little seedling goes up, and at its core, it's a maple tree. It knows that it's a maple tree, and it does its thing as a maple tree. So people who tap into their why when they work with us, it's so powerful. We say that informs who, we say that informs what, and by the time they get out to the how, they're getting clear how they're differentiating in the marketplace, how they're actually being different. The mission, we go right to their gut. We say that's your drive and your fearless purpose right there. So go down in your gut feeling. For their story, we go back to the roots, right? This is a bit like the manifestos that are so powerfully generated here. We look at the origins. They're often overlooked or undervalued. Oh yeah, I can't remember when it was like 100 years ago. Who cares? Really? And culture, full body experience. We have them walk around, get grounded in what they're creating as a business because it will affect their body. So, key benefit we say is trust. Transforms everything. And how can you take this into your work and apply it? So, number one, first, don't take any bullshit. Be brave. Stop the conversation if it's going there. Set your intention to dig deeper. Be a little invasive. Scratch away. Uncover. Discover. Hold that space. You'll be surprised what shows up just in your listening with an intention and a commitment for truth. Number two, don't start the work until you're clear and confident. And your client is clear and confident. If there's no strong foundation, what are you going to build that will last or make a difference? Despite their demands and the pressure, they will still feel this unworkability or lack of integrity at a gut level. You're going to work with them on their, on that level. Get your clients out of their heads. They stay there most of the time. If they can't see their own vision, close their eyes. If they can't connect to the mission, their core purpose, ask them to check in with their gut feeling. Put them in that part of their body or that sense that's connected to the core elements. We rely way too much on our heads, and our brain only runs at 40 bits per second. Do you know that our whole body runs at 320 gigabytes per second? This whole thing, right? It's extraordinary, okay? It's a lot faster. Give your clients space and freedom to dream, and then make it real. Share images and pictures, reflect it back, play, distract, anything to tap into their unconscious mind, and out of that linear, pre-wired strategic pathways that will always lead to the same place. It eventually gets hardwired. You'll never create anything new or innovative. And then put it into physical reality in their space so that it radiates. They confront it all the time. You can create a lean brand building blueprint. We can share that with you, okay? It has the key elements of the core. If your client has not done this work or hasn't done it for a while, even if you're just engaged in a specific specialized role, the investment on the front end will provide a much higher return overall for you, okay, and them. At least nail the values, the vision, the mission, and the culture. Get that down. Don't violate principles like gravity, alignment, balance, and integrity work. It doesn't matter how you express and play, but the principles have been around a lot longer than you, so make them work for you. Ask yourself what practices you can keep in existence. to continue to check and ground yourself so that you're walking the talk. Some questions for you, because this is such a amazing listening. You know, like the power in this room is pretty. At one level, it's intimidating when I think about it. Another level, it's so fulfilling, right? What do you see? Where are you left? We're going to open it up for the next 15 minutes. What are the approaches and methods that you use to uncover the truth? What challenges do you face, and how could elements of this approach support you? What suggestions do you have for elevating this approach, or refining it, or adapting it? We don't say we have all the answers. It's just what we're doing. And how do you see we could scale or adapt it to work with the larger, more mature brands, you know, with more layers, less intimate access to leadership? Thank you.